So good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. I'm Peter Cook. This is the Festival of Brexit. What is the Festival of Brexit? It's a multicultural arts festival. We were going to do this in a real theatre, but because of Boris Johnson's lockdown, we have to do it online. And I'm now connected to the heart of Norfolk with Ben.
The heart of Norfolk. I can't help but notice your cat T-shirt there. Is that Cats Against Brexit, Peter?
It is, yes.
It is. What does it say underneath? I can't quite see. It's Cats something. Cats Against Brexit, is it? What's the thing? Are you a big cat fan?
No, I don't. Well, yes, but I don't.
No, I hate cats.
I don't have a cat. I'm
no.
without a cat portfolio. Anyway.
Great T-shirt.
Ben Chambers, 16 million rising. You've been doing the Brexit resistance on the radio in all sorts of other ways for 4 years, which is whole.
I've been doing my little thing since, I think it was August or September 2016, like a lot of people. In June that year, I was completely, I don't know if apolitical is the right word, but I was completely disinterested in politics. I would vote in general elections, but that was it. I couldn't give a monkeys about the local elections or anything like that. I knew I was never supposed to vote Tory because my parents did, so I would vote Labour or Lib Dem. But then all of a sudden, this thing happened with Brexit in June, and I thought, my goodness, we've got this one so wrong. What on earth has gone wrong? What massive fly has been put into the ointment, or massive spanner has been put into the clockwork here that has stopped our democracy from functioning properly? Why have people fallen for what is clearly a gargantuan load of cobblers, a huge lie? So I just thought, well, like a lot of people, I think, what can I do about this? I've got to do something about this. I can't just be quiet anymore. This is something I can get my teeth into and I can care about. And I think, like a lot of people, one by one, you connect with people through social media that you've never met or heard of before. And there's this growing swell, this groundswell of absolute shock and disbelief that this has happened. And then B, what do we do about it? What can we do about it? So all the social media groups grew. They all had their own distinctive voice. You've got NHS workers against Brexit, farmers against Brexit, cats against Brexit. And I thought, well, what can I do? And my background is in teaching and music. So, I mean, I'm a music tutor, I don't want to say producer. It sounds a bit sexy and it's not that glamorous at the moment. But I make music like you do, Peter. And I thought, well, there isn't a little radio show, there isn't a podcast at the moment that's going out monthly or weekly. It started monthly with 16 million voices, a little website, and then a little radio show every month where I asked people what kind of music they wanted to hear, and I curated the best of the talking heads and the current state of the Brexit debacle, and packaged that together in a couple of hour shows every month. And then it became weekly at the beginning of this year, 2020. And, you know, some weeks we get lots and lots of listeners, 10 times more than other weeks. Some weeks it kind of falls flat on its face. I think it depends an awful lot on whether I promote it myself or whether other people do, or it gets a retweet on Alistair Campbell's Twitter feed. That always helps if you're listening, Alistair. And it's just, what I'm trying to do at the moment is just provide listeners with a mix of 100% pro-European music, anti-Brexit music, stop Brexit music, of which there is an unbelievable goldmine of stuff out there that's being produced constantly, you know, over the last 4 years and still now. And we've crisscrossed into lots of other areas as well. And it's not just become about stopping Brexit, which of course we have to accept is probably going to happen in a few weeks' time. Certainly about reversing it, about putting this right as soon as we possibly can, but it's crisscrossed into other areas. And obviously the big Biden victory of this last week has been the first good news we've had probably in 4 years, and could spell a real turning point in the what seemed to be this juggernaut of nationalism that was just cruising through our country and cruising across Europe and the world. So yeah, the show goes out every Monday at 8 o'clock on Mixcloud. Subscribers get a copy the night before. It's usually about 60 minutes now, and it's, I hope, a good, healthy mix of serious stuff, news, views, rants and bants, I try and call it. So there's a bit of comedy. There's always a couple of tunes. it's optimistic and positive at the core. So we never try and fall victim to the kind of narrative that says there's nothing we can do anymore, because there's always something we can do. And I think that as many different voices as there are out there voicing their individual and collaborative concerns about where this is taking the country and what this means for the population, for the economy, for our social and cultural standing in the world, our political standing in the world, the better. So yeah, it's what I've been doing alongside the website. There's a Facebook group, a Twitter feed, there's an Instagram page, whatever you call it, there's a website, and now there's, well, we'll get onto the album a bit later, but there's a new album. So yeah.
Okay, and no good things have come out of Brexit, but when you really look at it, some things have done. So we have met. I have been supported on bagpipes by Alistair Campbell on stage. So these are things that you never had on your bucket list. So if you had 4 minutes in the sort of Alan Partridge style from as you're in Norfolk to give me some highlights of 4 years or lowlights, go on.
You've just summed it up, really. I mean, there, like you say, there is nothing that was intended to come out of Brexit that's been good. It's just been an absolute litany of crap from start to finish, and we're not at the finish line yet. But in terms of what I think we'd call the silver or the golden lining of Brexit, there've been, I think, 3 things for me. One is the connections that people like you and I have made with people that we would never have otherwise met. From Inverness in Scotland to St Ives in Cornwall and further afield. We're talking about Spain, France, Gibraltar, all over Europe. People that would never have met, that realise that they share not just a pro-European worldview, but an awful lot more in common as well, connected with the way that we see immigrants, the way that we see the country's foreign policy, the way that we see democracies being run into the ground in once civilized Western societies. All those things intercross and they all connect together beautifully. So those connections we've made on a personal level with different groups and different people all over the country has been incredible. And I've never known so many people that I share values with in common. In fact, no, I've never known this many people. Even at university or college, you meet people of all sorts of different views and you don't agree with many of them. But we are all on the same page when it comes to this, which is why it's so frustrating that we've let ourselves get distracted with infighting in Labour and Lib Dems this and Labour that and Greens this and goodness knows what else and Change UK that. Over the past few years, we've taken our eye off the ball and we've been fighting amongst ourselves, and we should have just focused on the common enemy. So that's one of them. The second thing, of course, is the fact that we are still part of the biggest pro-European movement in Europe. We are in the majority. The majority of this country, the United Kingdom, wants to remain in the EU and believes that Brexit was a huge mistake. That is growing. The number of people, I would say, that from the evidence I see, that are still 100% banging the drum for Brexit as a bona fide Brexit supporter is tiny. The majority of people I know in my family, colleagues, friends that admitted they voted that way, they voted for Brexit, will now either not want to talk about it because, let's move on, it's all a bit embarrassing, or they've come round and they've said, yeah, wish we could have seen it at the time. We were lied to. This was one huge, gigantic con job, the biggest ever perpetrated on a country. And the third thing for me, the third golden line, is the creative force that has come out of this apocalyptic nightmare. Music, sculpture, art, painting, books, writing, comedy, poetry, particularly the music. For me, I am stunned by the amount of stuff that I've researched and been sent for the little show that I do. Getting on for almost 300 now, really great tunes. All of varying degrees of quality, some beautifully produced in studios, others cobbled together in people's basements, but that's part of the fun of it. And there's just been so much, from semi-professional bands to people that have just decided, I've got to make music about this because it's the only way I can express myself. That, for me, has been a real eye-opener and a real revelation, and part of what I've tried to bring together on the 16 Million Rising show.
Okay. Trick question on the way to the second part. You have a lunch date with Theresa May or Priti Patel. Who do you take?
Oh my God. Well, obviously it would have to be, well, you see, I'd want to choose Theresa May, because it would probably be the easier ride. I'd be less inclined to want to punch a slap bang in the face. But you'd think you could achieve more with Priti Patel. I mean, it would be worth having a dialogue with her, because you might just be able to thaw out that stone cold heart of hers. Who knows? I think Theresa May, to be honest, has always been on our side. She just hasn't known how to express it. I mean, the look that she gave Michael Gove in Parliament not too long ago when he was talking absolute baloney was just classic. You got Boris Johnson walking out on her, I think, this week as well. And she's been voting closer to the right way, I think, of late. So I think she's already on side. I think Priti Patel would be the challenge and would be the more fun person to have a dinner date with. What would eat, God knows. Does she eat?
I keep offering Priti Patel pizza evenings. I said there's no after. But I do like the way that Theresa May, it's the only thing I think really think about I would enjoy on the date. She laughs with her whole body, Theresa May, doesn't she?
She does. Well, yeah, I think we're talking, this is the dolphin laugh. This is the sort of laughs with her whole body. Yeah, it's a very aquatic kind of sea lion laugh, but bless her, you know, I find it hard to have the same degree of animosity towards her that I do obviously Boris Johnson, obviously Michael Gove, and everyone else in the top level cabinet positions, and David Cameron. Okay. I find it hard to hate her quite so much, because I think she just, at the very worst, trod water for 3 years, tried to delay and procrastinate Brexit as best she could, because I know she didn't want it to happen, but was trapped by the various wings of her party and didn't know how to respond. And ultimately, she let us down. You know, she was a failed prime minister. But in the top 100 of Brexit villains, she's got a fairly low ranking, I think. Okay. I mean, Priti Patel, you know, goodness me, Dominic Raab, Matt Hancock, David Davis, new guy, what's his name, Frosty, and of course Johnson. And then you've got this internal wrangling, this internal dispute in number 10 this week. What the hell is going on in that house? You know, you've got this guy walking out who was going to be offered chief of staff, but then, oh no, Carrie said no to that, so that can't happen. And this is on the day that we exceed 50,000 deaths from coronavirus. All number 10 is concerned about is this low-rent soap opera that is going on with inside its four walls. It's pathetic, isn't it? This is our democracy.
A low-rent soap opera which wouldn't even make television.
Well, it'll make Crossroads look like it had, you know, I look a bit like Benny from Crossroads with this hat on, but no, it'll make Crossroads look quality, or El Dorado.
I'm not Miss Diane, by the way. Now, to move from the ridiculous to where are we now? So, thinking about where are we now, you said earlier, well, we're going to have to deal with this shit show. I still think that in the eye of the Brexit corona storm, there is still the possibility of suspension. But if we assume that it goes ahead, there is still, whichever way that goes, the possibility of what can people do. So where are we now and what can people do? Both of those questions.
Yeah. Well, like you, I mean, it would be preferable if the referendum had never taken place in the first place. Given that, yes, it would have been preferable that we at some point along the last 4 years have managed to stop this. And there are so many reasons why we weren't able to achieve that. And yes, there's still a few weeks to go. And who knows what epiphany Boris Johnson might have in the middle of one of his baths. He may wake up one morning and just decide, you know what, I'm on my way out anyway. I want to have a legacy. I want to be remembered in some favourable light. How can I do that? Scrap this ridiculous Brexit fast right now. Focus on COVID. Focus on whether the Russians did or didn't interfere in our democracy. Put those things right that matter to people without this self-inflicted wound, this hurdle we've created for ourselves, which benefits no one but my Etonian buddies that are already minted. You know, he could have that epiphany. Failing that, what we can be doing now, I think, I've come round an awful lot to this idea of the power of writing to your MP. I became quite, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Drained and washed out and sceptical about the power of both petitions and writing to MPs. But when I saw ardent Brexiter and Tory stalwart Christopher Chope from Christchurch standing up in Parliament, offloading his mailbag, which he proceeded to slag off the entire Tory cabinet and say that it was becoming increasingly difficult to repudiate and refute the accusations that his constituents were levelling at him. I thought, well, if he's prepared to do that, I know he's a little bit of an agitator. He's always been a thorn in the Tories' side to some extent. He won't toe the party line. But if he's prepared to do that, how many of the still semi-human, half-decent Tory MPs that are representing the Shires and Middle England, and more importantly, the red wall Tories, who know that when the shit really does hit the fan in January, they cannot go back to their constituents and defend the loss of thousands upon thousands of jobs in Nissan, in Honda, in other big companies, as being anything to do with the coronavirus, because we're going to have a measure to compare that to. We're going to be able to look at what happens in Italy, France, Germany, Spain, the other big economies of Europe, and we should be doing better than all of them. We're a prosperous first world country. If, as is predicted, our recession, our economy hit is going to be so much worse because of Brexit, there will be nowhere for these people to hide. They're going to have to either come clean or do what we've seen Kane do, run away. And as I suspect Dominic Cummings will do. So I think writing to your MP, no matter how hardline Tory or how much of an absolute cheapskate or, whip-abider they are, write to them. And when they send you back the stock response that they've been told to send you, pick them up on all the absolute bullshit and bollocks in it, and then write them again another very personal letter about how you feel as a constituent in their constituency. My mum did that and got nothing back the second time. Lots of people I know have had the stock response, and when they've written back a second time, they've had nothing. But those letters are logged. The MP gets to see them. The MP knows that they're there. The emails are there. They're logged. And as I think it was Sue Wilson in Remain in Spain said, one letter to an MP might not achieve much. 100 on a similar theme will really make them think. 10,000 is enough to change policy and direction, because they know that if 10,000 people can be bothered to write, they represent at least 10 times that number who just can't be asked to write, but feel exactly the same way. Yeah. So I would say write to your MP and badger them, ask to meet them. I know it's not the best time at the moment, but when this lockdown 2 is over, go and meet them at their constituency office and have a civil conversation with them. Ask them how in all good conscience they can support breaking international law. How in all good conscience they can support the loss of hundreds, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs directly as a consequence of Brexit. Ask them to defend those things. And then ask them what Brexit benefits are on the way. It's January, Brexit, we can't hide under this canvas of it's transition period. We're still really in the EU. As of January, we won't be. We're out of the EU, out the customs union, out the single market. Where are the benefits? Where's the 350 million a week for the NHS? Where are the trade deals with anywhere other than a country that can sell us the odd watermelon or pineapple, or some product that we can sell them they can't possibly ever want or need? I mean, we've just got continuity deals with Japan. Well, what we've got with Japan, well, hang on, the Japan thing, the soy sauce thing is absurd. I mean, the Department for International Trade had to put out a correction to their tweet bragging that soy sauce was going to be cheaper, and clarify the fact that no, what we meant was it will be cheaper than it would have been under World Trade Organization tariffs, which is the same price it is now.
I'm going to have to take issue with you here.
Go on, what's that?
I'm using soy sauce on everything, on the all brand, instead of tea, overall. I am actually about to die of salt overload, but nonetheless,
it comes from the Netherlands, Peter.
Very adaptable soy sauce, or soy.
I know it is. It's soy sauce. But the point is, the carbon footprint of bringing it from Japan rather than where we currently get it, the Netherlands, is enormous. So what if it's the same price? How can you wrap that up and strew that benefit? I've no idea. So I want to know what some of the tangible benefits are, because at the moment, all I'm counting is bluish black passports, brilliant, and soy sauce the same price. What else is there? I can't see anything else.
Result.
That's it. That's what we've got. That's 4 years. 4 years. That's what we've got so far.
£200 billion and a bottle of soy sauce. Fantastic.
Yep.
2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, please.
It's not even that good.
Let me move you slowly towards music. So we
music.
Yeah, we can suspend Brexit or do something about it, whatever that is. And writing, I couldn't agree more. It needs to be like the sequence in Harry Potter, where all the letters come through, because they do weigh them, as you say. So that's really good. Now, music. You're the major reason we're sitting at the Festival of Brexit is to talk about arts and culture rather than rants and bants. But that's
arts and culture.
So let's go up a level, and we're going to be talking about this, which I think
Let's get highbrow. Oh, I've got one of those as well.
yeah, we all got
It's
them.
this. That's right. Okay, well,
hang on. First of all, before we get into what's in the package,
my backside.
yeah, indeed, and a clock, which is marvelous. Music. Serious question about this.
Yeah.
Why is music? People say, "Well, music's weird. Can't we just send a tweet, or can't we write to their MP?" Why is music a different, or perhaps even a better way of reaching people's minds?
Good question. I don't know. You might know who said this, but I'm pretty certain that there was I think it was a Japanese proverb. Somebody once said that all art aspires to the condition of music, in that what art wants to do is move the soul, is create an emotional response. So when you see a painting in a gallery, unless it's some pretty weird modernist shit, you're kind of looking at it thinking, wow, I feel angry, or I feel humoured. You've got a lot of art around you. But, art wants to create an emotional response in people. Music wants to create an emotional response. And when you watch a film, even the very best films that you really connect with, if you take away the score, the music to that film, try and imagine the ending of Shawshank Redemption without that beautiful music from Thomas Newman playing in the background. It is just joyous. The very, very best art, however good it is at connecting with the human spirit, the soul, and our emotional intelligence, it just cannot hold a candle to what music can do. I mean, music makes you punch the sky, it makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it makes you take to the streets. What have you got there?
I confess that I'm not a major painter. This is a piece.
Well, I can't really see that very clearly here.
No, you're seeing it perfectly clearly.
Am I?
It's called In the Mist. It's actually a canvas of black paint, which I've scraped, so it has texture. But that's it. That's one of my paintings. You can.
Okay.
This is one of the things I'm not noted for, and this is my wife. Oh no, it's my son.
What? Sorry, that's your wife.
No, this is my wife. I had a moment.
Oh, that's your wife. Okay.
I'm still married to her.
I'd like to say I am quite moved by that, Peter. I'm not quite sure in what direction, but that's certainly a painting guaranteed to turn a few hearts and maybe indeed a few stomachs.
Yeah.
But look, no. But my point about music is that it reaches a place, and I know this sounds a little bit cliched, a little bit cringeworthy, past the bucket, but it does reach places within people that simply shouting, "Stop Brexit, bollocks to Brexit, you're thick, you're stupid, you're a racist." I think it reaches a little bit deeper into people's psyche and consciousness. And if you can make people laugh through a song, if you can make people angry through a song, if you can make people optimistic and hopeful through a song, you're kind of navigating around some of the barriers that they put in place to preventing you doing that through simply talking to them or writing to them or expecting them to watch a 40-minute documentary or listen to an hour-long radio show with me banging away. Music in 3 minutes. I mean, who was it that said you learn more from a 3-minute pop song than you ever do in school? I'm pretty certain someone said that. It's the kind of thing someone might have said, even if they didn't. You said it.
Yeah.
You said it. You can coin that right now, Peter, because it's true. You know, there have been songs over the past 3 years, 4 years, that aren't just good protest songs. They're not just good anti-Brexit, pro-European songs. They're just good music. They're just good songs. And I thought, a few weeks ago in 60 Million Rising, I did a little celebration show of what I thought were the best 40. My very Bruno Brooksy kind of 1980s style rundown of the top 40 best anti-Brexit protest, pro-European songs of the last 4 years that I've played on the show. And then someone sent me an email and they said, why don't you put those on a CD? People might buy it. And I just thought what a lot of work that would be, you know, contacting all those people individually saying, can we use your song? Is this deal okay? You know, if we give you this much back, and how would this work? And can we have some artwork? And can you help promote it? Doing that for 20 plus people would be quite a bit of work. But it turned out it was quite a bit of work, but it was certainly worth doing it. And now the end result is the first ever compilation of the very best music from the past 4 years, the soundtrack to our fight against Brexit and for the European Union. 21 songs, including the hidden track, 21 songs, 78 minutes of quality music. And they all had to satisfy 3 criteria. They had to have a great lyric and great melody. You know, I get sent a lot of stuff for the show, some of which doesn't quite fit that criteria. The heart's in the right place, but I just think, I'm not quite sure what this guy or this woman's on about here. So I'll say something nice back. I might play it once, but then it gets archived to the kind of the Terry Waite pile where I never look at it again. Sorry, Terry's back with us now, isn't he? Or is he?
They're my ones, aren't they?
They're your ones. No, they're not your ones. It also had to be passionately pro-European. Obviously, the sentiment behind the song had to dovetail beautifully with our values as a little radio show, with Britain for Europe's values, with March for Change's values, Best for Britain's values, all the organisations that are 100% for Europe and are placed at the head of the European table, and against this absolute debacle, this travesty of democracy that is Brexit. So it had to fit in with that. And the third one, and this is the difficult one, they did have to be well produced. An awful lot of stuff I get sent is so badly produced, the bass is muddy, it's tinny, you can't hear the lyrics properly, and an otherwise great song is buried beneath just sloppy production. So every song on this album is really well produced, professionally produced, not necessarily by professionals or even with professional gear, some in studios, some in basements, some in bedrooms, some on the street. There is a complete mix of styles and genres here. We've got folk, we've got electro, we've got novelty records, we've got raging anti-Brexit protest songs, we've got heartfelt ballads, we've got rock, we've got punk rock, we've got a little bit of everything on here. It really is diverse. So whatever your musical genre preferences are, there's something on here for you. And it's a digipack CD, which means it's reasonably environmentally friendly. It's a little bit of plastic in there to hold the disc, so it's a bit more substantial, which means it has a spine. It does actually have a spine, which is more than you can say for certain leaders of the Labour Party of late. Not the new one. He's doing okay. He's not a jellyfish, but we've got a substantial CD here that can be bought exclusively from the 16 Million Rising website. I'm sure Peter will provide a link somewhere in this smorgasbord of entertainment that he's putting together here for you.
Right.
And
I want to ask you a question.
Please do. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Not the Alan Partridge seat again, but the Alan Freeman seat. Take us through, if you can, all of these tracks, or at least, give us a tour, please.
Take you through all the tracks. Okay, I'll have to look down. I haven't memorized them, but I have a pretty good photographic memory, but I'll go through them all. The first track is Citizen of the World by a guy called Josh Savage. This is the heartfelt ballad I was referring to, one that really struck a chord with people. Beautiful piano ballad. He has a blue tick on Twitter, so he's like a proper serious musician and everything. Beautiful song. The next song, Douglas Hinton, Road to Brextinction. He's got a real bluesy vibe going, Douglas. He's also known as Doug Hint. He's on Facebook as well. He's just put out an EP, I think, of new songs as well. He's quite a prolific musician. And like I say, this song for me is his best. A real bluesy guitar in this one, fantastic lyric. You can't disagree with a word of it. So that's a great sort of opener to the CD after the initial sort of heartbreak of Citizen of the World. The next song is one of my early favourites by a small band from up north. I think they're from the northwest. They're called Banana Ranch. The song's called Remain. Really brilliantly produced song from back in the days when Theresa May was PM. You can't help but feel good listening to that one. It was originally going to be, they wanted it to be their Eurovision shot, but I'm not sure that the Eurovision people allow overtly political songs into the roster, which may be why they didn't make it. But those guys are still producing stuff. I think one of them's called Paul Grimshaw, I think he is.
I think Boom Bang Bang was political, wasn't it?
Boom Bang Bang. I don't know if that was political.
Yeah,
Was it?
Sure.
The fourth song is Keep Us In. You'll hear vocals in that from the wonderful Ashley, who makes an appearance on key. That's a song, Joel Backus, heavily involved in that one, calls himself the Brexit Breakers. Fantastic guitar riff in that, you may recognise it. Transition from the Wenatchee Tribe. Now, they're an award-winning band, these guys. Brilliant bunch of lads. They have put together a whole bunch of songs that are broadly pro-European in appeal without being explicitly pro-European in lyric. But they've been champions of the show since we began. They'll retweet everything that we do, and likewise, really wonderful band, the Wenatchee Tribe. I think they're renaming themselves now Wenatchee for some reason. And I'm pretty certain they've got new music just on the horizon as we speak as well. The sixth song is the most recent addition, the most recent song that I came across by a guy called Planet Neil Dyer, and it's called My Eurovision. And absolutely, they're all infectious, these songs, but this one's a real winner. Another slice of electro, kind of influence. To me, it sounds a little bit like, there's a bit of Human League, a little bit of Pet Shop Boys in there, a little bit of electro pop in there, but a really sprightly, bouncy little number. Oh, I forgot to mention this, the next one, Fear. This is by a band from the Republic of Ireland called Great White Lies. Siobhan Shields is the sort of the contact I've had with the band. I assume she's one of the leading forces behind it. The song's called Fear, and it's very experimental jazz. So even if you're into experimental free-form jazz, don't worry, it doesn't go on for half an hour. This is a nice 5-minute piece. It's called Fear, and it's quite devastating in terms of some of the snippets from news broadcasts that are popped in there as well. Tea with the Devil. This is one of the 2 tracks that I produced. This is Rosemary Schonfeld from Devon. She's a singer-songwriter, a folk artist, a folk singer, a wonderful woman, really, really wonderful. And actually, one of the other artists on the album called Ian Dearlove has contacted me to say that this is one of his favourite 2 songs that he'd never heard before on the album when he got his copy. So it's a folksy number. Plenty of verses, not quite Bob Dylan-esque. It doesn't go on for 16 minutes, but there's a good 8-9 verses in this about how the devil comes in many disguises and you never know it's him until it's too late. One of the most devastating and poignant lyrics on the album. Phew, nearly halfway. Little England. This is a guy called Trevor Perfect, and I swear that is his real name, Trevor Perfect. He doesn't like to make a big thing of it, but the song is. This is called Little England. I can't remember the name of the vocalist he used, but she's amazing. I know he found her on one of these sites where you employ people to be your vocalist, like Fiverr, somewhere like that. But he's now done a number of songs with her. She's really great, got a very powerful voice. Another song, well, the title says it all, Little England. Listen to it. Oh, right, the Violet Chimes. I'm pretty certain they're from the northeast. They sound like they're from up in Newcastle, Sunderland, the Tyneside area. Can't be 100% certain. The song's called Fell For It. Again, it's a Ron Seal title. It shouldn't need too much explanation. But they are another tremendous band. We've played a couple of their songs on our little show, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. Everyone is going to know the next one. What Did You Do, Daddy? When the Led by Donkeys crew got their campaign up and running and they were posting billboards, and they still are, all over the country. They've now become a little bit more digital in their output. They've been projecting things on the cliffs of Dover, on the Houses of Parliament. When they first started off doing their billboard campaigns, this became their theme song, and I think they adopted it for some of their viral videos. The Undead Musicians Club, Richard Bean. This is his track, What Did You Do? And it uses the same kind of persuasive rhetoric as was used, I think, in the Second World War. What did you do, Daddy? You know, when the Nazis were approaching the UK and we were all fighting for our lives, what did you do? And that's a question I think at least you and I, Peter, and thousands of other pro-Brexit activists out there will one day be able to say, you know, we're doing our best. We did our best and we continue to do our best. Great song. Number 12. Even in the Darkest Hour. This is a guy called Wayne Allen who lives in France, and he wrote this song after his house burned down, and he rebuilt it from scratch. And the song's about how in our community, the pro-European community, even when things really do go tits up, you can rely on other people in our community, because like I said earlier, it's not just about stopping Brexit, staying in the European Union. We've connected because we share a worldview, mainly that we're kind of nice to each other. We're understanding, we're tolerant, we're compassionate. You know, we're not easy to anger and be angry and upset with each other. We look out for each other as best we can. So this is his song, Even in the Darkest Hour, a song of hope. Another You by Ian Dearlove. He's a great guy. He's from South London. He's been in the music business for quite a long time, Ian. And I suppose his music's best summed up as psychedelia. The song Another You is a psychedelic track, also known in his mind as Another EU, Another You. Great song, really, really beautiful. My mum's personal favourite, I must add at that point on the album. Shot in the Head is a guy called, I think it's Dave Greaves. He's in a band called Asbo Slips from Gloucester, obviously in Gloucestershire. The song, a little bit like Fell For It, a little bit like Keep Us In, has a kind of Ron Seal title, Shot in the Head, which is exactly what Brexit has done to this country. Another great song. Track 15, Aloe Vera, Brexit's Coming Home. I can't tell you much about that one. I'm clueless. Maybe you can fill in there for me, Peter.
Oh, it's a parody of the Brexit condition, where this is written from the Brexit point of view. You know, we won the war, we won the World Cup, we won Brexit. Don't know what that's for, but if I say so, I look like a twat down the pub with me.
I don't know whether. Would you be offended if I said that was the novelty single on the album? Because you remember the KLF, you remember Drummond and Corty, the Time Lords.
Absolutely not, because one of the difficulties I've faced is, like this album, I've written songs in all genres. It's actually taught me quite a lot. So I've done things that are funny and parody, like this one, and I've done other things that are just that hit your soul and have made some people.
Oh God, yeah. So, I've listened to In Limbo, Peter. I've heard In Limbo, and I'm still a huge fan of Pants to Brexit. I just think that's one of the most joyous anti-Brexit songs I've ever heard, which is why it was in my top 40.
I never wanted to write a disco song in my life, but I did. Anyway,
well, this is great. This feels great. We've got samples in there from Vera Lynn. You know, we're appealing to all the things that. One of the things I know, if you're anything like me, that's really wound you up about Brexit is how Brexiteers have tried to suggest and commandeer the whole veteran community and suggest that they're all on their side, which is utter nonsense. You've only got to speak to someone like Steve Gavin up in Liverpool, Vets for Europe, who will he'll talk you the hind legs off a donkey about how real veterans, real army veterans, people that actually fought for this country understand better than anybody what it is we're trying to preserve, which is what the end of the World War, through Churchill and the creation of the EU sought to do. Originally, it was a peace project. So the idea that veterans somehow are these bastions of Brexit is some of the biggest bollocks you are ever going to hear. It's just not true. So great song. Bin Brexit is the other song I produced with my friend down south from Christchurch called Graham Paul Kendrick. It's another hopefully rousing anti-Brexit street song. Again, the title says it all. What more can I add? Own Your Shit. There are so many songs from this guy, Mitch Benn, that are worth literally every song he's ever done, worth putting on an album. But for me, this was the one that kind of, I think, somehow managed to encapsulate the anger that we all feel with humour. Because quite frankly, this is what they're all going to have to do. The Brexiters that sold us this lie, at some point, if they're not cowardly and they don't run away like Cameron did, they're going to have to own their shit. They're going to have to say, yeah, this is all on me. We promised you sunlit uplands and we've delivered you. We promised you, as someone said recently on Twitter, Daniel Craig emerging from the Caribbean, and what we've delivered is Mark Francois emerging from the sea in Skegness, which is not really the same thing, is it? So they're going to have to fess up and own this catastrophe that is Brexit at some point. Brexit Dividend, this is Maddie Kay. This is a song I recorded with Maddie in London, off the cuff, just her and the guitar, no special effects, no studio. She's right, she's produced many better songs than this, perhaps musically and certainly in terms of production. But as far as I'm concerned, the lyric in this, which is the most important thing for me, and the tune, says it all. There is no Brexit dividend. It is that simple. And the big finale, kind of, on the album is the song that I think everyone will take away from the last 4 years as being the anthem of our fight. We're not going to Brexit, from Reg and the Remainers, Rachel Ashley, up there in Cheshire. There's nothing more that can be said about this song. It's just bloody brilliant. And I've heard you, Peter, deliver a pretty stonky guitar solo to this a number of times, whether it be in, I don't know, Brighton on a stage or up in Manchester in the rain. It's just a winning song. And then we finish off with another song that was written at the same time Rachel wrote hers, with the same title. Give a Life was a little bit like the first song on the album, a heartbreaking piano ballad. And if you let it run after that song for 48 seconds, there's a surprise. Say no more.
Okay, fantastic.
That's it.
20 down to 1, 21 songs.
Yeah.
So it's Immanuel Kant and Madonna. Music is the language of the emotions. So we've covered that. And yes, it can make you feel happy. It can make you feel sad. But in all cases, this is a medium that is unexploited by Remainers, I think, is a fair thing to say about it. So thank you very much. I know how much work goes into doing this stuff through
I know
doing
you do.
yeah. So I really, I really urge people to buy copies of this. For people watching this, don't just send them to all the friends that agree with you.
Yeah.
Send them to tired Brexiteers or that need.
It'll really piss them off.
Well, there's several reactions that are possible. One is
Yeah.
to really piss them off, but another one, if they're saying, "I can't admit that I got this wrong," it opens up that conversation again. And because some of this is light, it's just a can opener for a conversation in one sense. So don't forget to send it to your. I'm not going to send one to my 80-year-old sister because she told me that she voted for Brexit because there'd be 2 million German rapists coming here. And I asked her after an hour of conversation, how were they any worse, or were the English ones better? And the conversation just became difficult. I might, but I don't think she's getting a copy. But that's bizarre reasons. So Ben Chambers, 16 million rising. It's been absolutely fantastic. I'm going to say, knowing me, knowing you, Ben Chambers. Aha!
Aha!